Hello YouTube, I'm Mars 1952, and today I'm standing behind my John Deere 5085M with cab, and I'm going to put in the Power Beyond port on the back. The Power Beyond port is an unrestricted hydraulic port that you can use to hook up backhoes and other things that have their own selective control valves on them. So this tractor has a dual SCV in the back. They also sell the same tractor with a triple SCV. But all the parts for both of those come in this kit. First thing I did was I got all the parts. They were in a bag. I took them into the shop, and I found the various wrenches I needed to do the job. Now, the biggest one you need is 1.5 inches. It's for this. Now that's pretty unwieldy. Probably I could get away with using a crescent wrench. This one is a 15-inch, 43mm capacity. So that'll fit on here. And it's a little bit easier to maneuver. It's big and fat on the ends though, so we'll have to see what I have to use. So either a couple big crescent wrenches, or you go 1.5, 1 7/16, 1 1/4, 1 1/16, 15/16, and then we'll go down to 13mm. The only tool that I didn't have was a 14mm Allen wrench, and that's what's necessary to get this plug out of here. I had to go buy one of those. Okay, so I got the directions out, and I got this nice little parts list here. All the parts are numbered, but the little balloons where the numbers are supposed to go are blacked out, so you can still tell pretty much what's going on. This is the only one that was a little bit tricky to figure out. This is the part that goes in where this plug comes out. And then, since I only have a dual SCV, I'll use this component here. That will thread onto there and stick out in this neighborhood. And this T part, that replaces this. There's a nice elbow there. You got to take this nut loose, take the elbow off, put that in there. The rest of the parts are pretty much straightforward. You got an elbow fitting. This goes on. Where's the part list? Goes on. You know, the part list there doesn't show one with an elbow on it already. It's interesting. We'll have to see where that actually goes. But anyway, this elbow goes on the male quick coupler. Alright, so the first thing I'd have to do is take the plug out. Well, actually, back up. The first thing I did is release all the pressure on the hydraulics. In the manual here it says, park the tractor, turn it off, of course. Lower the rock shaft, that's down. Open rate of drop valve, that's a little dial on the inside there, that's open. And move the rock shaft position control lever and draft sensing lever to fully forward. Okay, that's all done. Then I took the remote handles for this and wiggled them around to release the pressure for this rear SCV. So now I'm going to take the 14mm out, 14mm plug. It's a little bit hard to get to. I'd already broken it loose, by the way. Hopefully no oil will come squirting out of here. Give it a chance to ooze. Alright, see the O-ring is already out, so we're good. No oil is oozing out of it. Alright, let me back up a second and thread that back in there. One of the first things I want to do is take some of these used paper towels and put them in here to catch the inevitable leaks. This is going to drip when I take it apart. These towels were used earlier for a job where it had to be spotlessly clean. I never throw anything away until they're absolutely useless, so I'm going to reuse them again. Alright, so this is the Power Beyond plug. That comes out. And this gizmo goes in its stead, which is a little strange. See, the plug threads are the same. But it has further fittings on the inside. Alright, this O-ring fell out. Paper towel, clean that off. These O-rings are pretty good, this type of O-ring connection. They don't leak, they're not terribly sensitive to pressure, but of course you want to make sure that they're nice and clean. That fits in that groove right there. I'm going to put the cap back on there just to keep that from falling off. There's a little bit of paint sticking out there. I'm going to peel that off. So this is my trusty knife out. Make extra sure that none of that gets inside the valve. Alright, so we're nice and clean there. Very little oil is coming out of this. But I am going to try to get a dab of oil on my fingers here and rub these seals with it. So the seals will slip nicely. Alright, let me snug that down so I can find the appropriate wrench. Too big. Just right. And it says 42 foot-pounds of torque on this, which I don't have a torque wrench that'll go on there, so I just tighten it down until it feels nice and snug. I've been doing this for a long time. Alright, so this next step, install Power Beyond pressure line, finger tight. So here's your pressure line. Let's see. In this case I'm going to need the long one, since I only have the double valve. Let's clean this off. Surprisingly, it has rust on it. It just came from the factory a couple days ago. Alright, I'm back. I got a little bit of hydraulic oil to wet the seals. One thing I forgot to do is take this top link out of the way. Exactly what I was doing here. The long fitting. The dab of oil on the bearing surface, or the gasket surface. Take this cup off and make sure I don't drop the O-ring again. Okay, O-ring's in there. We dab oil on it. Put this on finger tight. Okay, finger tight. Now we have to disconnect the hydraulic line, which is hydraulic line D. That's this fitting right here. Move my drip catching towels a little bit. But that's going to be 1 1/4 as well. Oh, one size, one I didn't check. Okay, that's 1 7/16. I wish I had a shorter wrench to use on there. I'll use the crescent wrench. 12-inch crescent wrench just barely gets on there. I'm going to hold on to this part with a bigger wrench so I don't break anything. Holding up on there. Get it broken loose. Next step will be to remove the elbow fitting. Okay, elbow fitting. But I don't have the right size wrench for that. this isn't quite it. It should be probably a metric size. 1 1/16 fits it a little bit loose. But it's 25 millimeter. So this is in the way for threading this out. Push it back a little bit. I did get quite a bit of oil spill on this fitting. Being caught by my scrap paper towels, mostly. Stopper that up temporarily. So I was wondering why they didn't reuse this fitting to replace this one, but they're different sizes. Alright, so elbow fitting removed, just all T-fitting with O-ring and connect hydraulic line. T-fitting with O-ring. So I'm going to use a little bit of this oil here, wet the O-ring. Take that down. See, all the tightness of the O-ring comes from this slip nut. So you don't need to try to tighten it. You need to make sure there's enough threads engaged, but you still want to have room for the for this to loosen and tighten. All right, so now we're going to back it off a little bit. Take this cup off, so I don't lose the O-ring. O-ring's still there. A little bit of grease, or oil I mean, put it on there. Make sure the surface of the line is clean. Slip this back up over it. Do this finger tight too. It doesn't say finger tight at this point. It says tighten to specifications. And hydraulic line is 51 foot-pounds. My trusty torque wrench out. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's tight enough. Now let's tighten this part, the slip nut down. Takes, once again, 1 1/16 is a little big, but it works. This one, I'm sure it does not take that much torque. You just want to take it down until it's snug. At that point, you will have compressed that O-ring completely. Of course, you want it snug enough that it doesn't vibrate loose. And put my directions and go on to the next page. Alright, so assemble snap ring. Snap ring A onto female quick disconnect coupler. Alright, so this has got to go on here. And it shows it in the second ring. There's 2 rings here. Alright, well that was harder than it should have been. Alright, so we got the snap ring in. normal snap ring, the coupler with O-ring. O-ring B. Okay. Install female quick disconnect coupler to power beyond pressure line. C. That's this right here. Okay, and we're going to dab a little oil on the O-ring again. Okay, so we already put this on here, finger tight. In the directions it says now you're supposed to put the quick coupler onto this. But to get the wrenches in there and manipulate it is a pain in the ass, so I'm going to put it together on the bench. Put it down there a little bit. Takes a gigantic wrench to hold it. Get it down close by hand here. It says 51 foot-pounds. That's probably pretty close. Alright, so now clean this. This is still wet. Put this in there finger tight. Alright, so it says if you have the deluxe SEV, that's the triple one, you have to remove cap screws securing the center link holder bracket. That's this. Then the next thing you do is you install the power beyond bracket. If you have the triple, this installs straight to the SEV. With the double, it installs to this bracket. So that's what the 12mm nuts come in, and it shows on the directions the nuts coming, or the bolts coming through this side. Now this would be a good place for a couple of dabs of Loctite, which I will go get now.